What's up, guys? Chris here with Clutter Reduction Junk Removal. So, I've been asked a few times in the last about month or so regarding growth and kind of my goals behind it from subscribers who are either getting into the game or very new to it. So, it's kind of complicated, I feel like, for a lot of people because you have two reasons for wanting to have your own business. The first one, you want to get rich quick, right? You want to have something blow up and you want to be able to just retire basically off of the business running itself, right? The second thing, and I think this is actually the majority of the population that starts a business, is you want to do your own thing, right? You want to be able to call your own scheduling. You want to be able to make the pay that you decide for yourself. And overall, you just want that control over what in reality is about 30-45% of our life is work. And people want that control. So I feel as if a lot of people have this fixation that if I start a business, I'll be making tens of thousands of dollars my first month, my first year, I can make $1 million, and anything less than that makes you feel like shit. So I think that's something that really screws with people's heads. And then you have everyone on, I mean, you got to figure the people who are willing to go out and be public about what they're doing and the money they're pulling in, they're probably doing pretty well. I personally am doing the YouTube channel kind of like as like a self documentary, and I know it's a really saturated term now, but a self documentary and kind of filming my ups and downs and the things I learn, the things I find out are mistakes. So that's kind of my reasoning behind it. But I feel like for the most part, the people that are making a killing are the ones that are going to go out and do these things and say, hey, I made so and so money, so follow me and you can be in the same footstep, right? That's kind of the standard YouTuber nowadays, is the people that they have a master class or they have a, hey, download this PDF and this is my ebook to whatever, you know. So everyone's looking at like these people that are kind of on pedestals that are pulling in $100,000 a month plus, and they're out there. And there's guys out there that are making that aren't on YouTube or aren't on social media that are just staying low profile. And I just feel like somebody who came in new and is looking up all these channels and seeing how everyone is just they're making so much money. You hear about people making $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 the first month ever in junk removal. Like what? Like I know it happens, right? People get lucky and they'll land like a $40,000 job. Like that's amazing, right? But it's not the norm. People aren't just going out making 50 grand their first month in junk removal. That's not a common thing. It happens, but it's not common. So I feel like a lot of people hear those examples and then just assume that if they're not able to do that, that everything's just downhill, right? And they kind of give up on things. And I think that's personally what drives a lot of people out of business. I don't think personally that you need to be making a killing your first 2, 3, 4, 5 years. You can, but I don't think you need to, and I don't think you should demotivate yourself so much that you want to back off of everything you're doing because you're not doing as well as the people that you're following are, right? There's a lot of things that play into the field of business. You have your knowledge, you have your experience, you have your willpower, you have your financial records. Like everything has its own part that collectively all falls in place. And when you finally get to that point where you can maximize each portion of this all and really bring out the best you can be, that's a different story. And when that day comes, I'm sure you're going to be very successful. But until then, I think people are just getting too caught up on the fact that somebody else is doing 10 times better than them, and it just demotivates you. And I get it because I feel that way too sometimes where there's certain group chats that I'm involved in through a couple of different social medias. I'm not gonna name drop any of them, but like there's someone that will say like, "Hey, I just made my first $100,000 my second year. Like that was my goal," and like half the people will say, "Congratulations, that's awesome, keep going," and then you have your other half that are like 100,000. That's like chump change. Like, what are you gonna do with that? You can't even hire an employee, and like they'll basically just bash the person for it, and it's like not everyone needs to be making 7 figures a year to get by. Like I don't need to be pulling in 100 grand a month to pay my wages. So I've been getting asked questions about it recently, like because I've admitted openly that I'm not pulling in a shit ton of money, right? I'm running this by myself. I do the work 99% of the time by myself. Can I go hire an employee? Yes. Do I want to? Not necessarily. I have faults, I have fears, and that's all holding me back, and then I can acknowledge that. But it also doesn't fall into what I personally want at the moment. Now, I will say I am a little torn because my long term goal has always been to grow the business to where I can hire out a couple of guys to run the crews, maybe even hire a marketer to kind of run more of the background networking stuff. And I just run operations, right? I set up the scheduling, I do the payroll, I do the paperwork, I do the communication with the customers before and after jobs. Like, I do all that stuff. The marketer handles the more background business, getting your name out there, pulling in clients, that kind of thing. And then you have guys running trucks. That's kind of always been like my long term goal was to get off the labor, but still be able to work in the business and kind of, take away a percentage of whatever the business makes. And then maybe even one day hire out a manager to replace me so I can focus in other avenues of income and kind of let them run my position. And I'm basically just pulling passive income off of a business. So I think those are like the two long term goals that I would have. However, I also like the idea of staying a little bit more low profile. So I want to get into trailer rentals to where I can just drop something off, somebody else does the work for me, I go get rid of it. I want to get into storage bidding. I want to get into doing rental properties with my girlfriend and, kind of build investments that way. So I have other ways that I want to make income through junk removal that don't require me to be on the truck 24/7. Now, I have my limitations as far as insurance goes and the cost of employees that I have a fear of, and that's my own doing, and that's something that I will work on over time. So at the moment, I'm just kind of taking it little by little. I do have a goal to get a dump trailer probably in the spring or summer, and that's probably the time when I will look for an employee so that way I could run things a little bit more efficiently. So I just wanted to touch base on that because I feel like that's a common thing that people like. At the end of the day, you're doing this business for a reason, but because you're comparing yourself to the franchises and you're comparing yourself to someone that comments on the video saying, "Oh, I love your video. I just made 50 grand my first month," and everyone seeing that is like, "What the fuck? Like, how do you do that? Like, what did you do?" And in reality, they probably didn't do anything differently. It's luck. It's opportunity. Something popped up. Like, I could get a call in 10 minutes and it's a realtor who needs a 10-acre estate cleaned out, and it could be a $30,000 job. You never know. So I just kind of feel like everyone's like they know what they want, but they're letting social media and the rest of the world kind of screw with their thoughts of how they want to achieve it. And I feel like a lot of guys who are out there, hustling and grinding 24/7, putting in 110 hours a week, and think that anything less than 100 grand a month is chump change. Those are the Grant Cardone of the population. That's how I refer them to, and I just don't think that's a necessary thing for everyone who wants to have a business. So this is just my opinion as a middle junk hauler, right? I'm not a bottom feeder and I'm not a high end guy. I'm like the middle guy, just kind of making my way through, doing my own thing. This is just an opinion from that middle guy who says, if you have your goal to just run your own thing, just run your own thing. Don't worry about what other people are making. Stick to what you want to do. Grow slowly. Network, become as efficient as possible. And when you have all of your bases covered, then look into growth. You don't have to go out and pull in and match all these guys. There's people who are putting in $10,000 a month in Google Ads and say anything less is chump change. So, like, those are different levels of, working in a business. So, that's it for me. Quick little rant. I am going to go organize my taxes for this year because my appointment is coming up soon. So I just wanted to put that out there. I've been asked by 4 different people on 2 different platforms what my ideas are with growth, and specifically calling out the fact that they've been seeing comments and other people talking about how they're pulling in X amount of money a year and that anything less is shit. And it makes them feel like crap. And it makes them not want to do it. And I was like, hey, I used to do catering where I worked 90 to 110-hour weeks for 8 months of the year, and it was miserable. And I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't healthy. I moved to moving, was a professional mover for a few years, and guess what? That paid a little better, but I'm slaving away in a physical job now, and I have no say in my availability. I wouldn't know if I was working the next day until as late as 7 o'clock at night, sometimes even later. I could go out and move a 9-bedroom house, 40,000 pounds with a crew of 4 other people, and 2 of them suck. So you're stuck doing the majority of the work, stressing about this guy because he has a painting worth $250,000 that he doesn't want to wrap up and just throw in the truck. And you're stuck on that job for 16 straight hours, and then you have to drive back to the shop and go back to work again 3 hours, and you have no say about it other than to quit. So it was that kind of just constant stress where it's like I'm killing myself every day. It's like, guess what? I get tired now doing this by myself, but it's nowhere near those levels. I'm making 3 to 4 times as much money putting in half the amount of time into the work. And at the end of the day, if I want to go take a month off of vacation, I can do that. Right? I have the savings that the business will stay afloat. All calls will get forwarded to whatever message. I could go take a month off if I want to. So that's kind of where that freedom comes from. And then of course you capitalize on that, and as you grow, that freedom becomes a little bit more of a wiggle room for doing more stuff, or to be able to do it without concern for finances or concern for time. It's situations like that where as you grow, so does everything else around you. So that's it for me. Just wanted to push that out there. So if you're getting demotivated by the fact that everyone else is killing it and you're not, I wouldn't worry about it. You're going to know if your business isn't working for you, and you're going to see it in your bank account and realize, I can't afford to do this anymore. And at that point, you back off. Or you do a part-time job and you continue this part-time as a side hustle to where you're not relying on it, but you're able to put focus into it on the side until you build up that reputation. So I will see you guys later on in the week. Have a good rest of the day.